what happened was, by the end of the 11th century, so the 1000s, just after the Norman conquest basically, there was a sense that the church was losing its way, that far too much of the attention of the abbots and the monks was about entertaining, was about fundraising. And there's a particular reason for this, because it coincided, of course, with the period of the Crusades. And if we're going to sort of talk about the medieval, let's just kind of remind ourselves, we're talking about a time where everything in this life was seen through the prism of how to attain salvation in the next. Now, for many people, that may well still be their kind of motivating force, but at this time, it was a unifying factor. Everybody bought into the same idea. Everybody was sort of caught up, if you like, in this progress through life. So it's a bit noisy, we're about to go into, but it's a surprisingly busy road. But I think it's because it's so attractive, people kind of enjoy moving through, so you can see the motorbikes coming down. So let's get inside the Abbey complex itself. So basically what this coincided with was, of course, the Crusades. So the Crusades are holy wars, aren't they? The focus of the first crusade, of course, was to take back Jerusalem from the infidels. So come over here and get us a nice kind of shot. But of course, it entails breaking a commandment, doesn't it? Thou shalt not kill. There's not a lot of grey area there, is there? And yet, of course, these people being sent across to Jerusalem, to the Holy Lands, to recapture the kingdom of Jerusalem with the intention of killing. Not to preserve themselves, but to take territory. So consequently, these people would, of course, be subject to damnation, right? So the monks at this time are brought on board to pray on their behalf. So that's why you get this sudden concern that the church is being used, if you like, as a get-out clause, as a way round. So you've got this focus on the rule of St. Benedict of further withdrawal. And so the monks of this time become attracted to this idea of simplification. So whilst we look at this building, and we would see it as, extraordinarily beautiful. And by the way, right at the front here, you'd have had a kind of rose window. Thank you, Rachel. Very reminiscent of that in York. You remember the rose window in York. I'm just going to give you now, and I'll put this up several times so you can kind of get your bearings. But let me give you a floor plan of what we're going to explore, so you get a kind of sense of kind of where we are and where we are in relation to other stuff. So if you look at that picture there, blow that up on your screen, take a photo of it by all means. You'll see on the left-hand side, which is where we're sort of right in front of you, so you look at the bottom of the picture there, you've got the bottom of the window, so you can see that. So this, of course, is the Abbey. The Abbey church, which kind of runs sort of right the way through, of course, is the kind of the major settlement within it. So we look at this and say it's incredibly beautiful. But in actual terms, it is fairly austere. It is, in terms of its decoration, compared to York Minster, compared to many of the buildings you've seen on here, it isn't especially ornate. They took a very, very kind of simplistic style. So reinforcing this idea of a simplistic life, you had simplistic architecture. So if you think of the famous Norman doorways that Ian's shown you, I've seen quite a few myself, by comparison, you haven't got that here. You've just got the stone that's needed to do the job, if that kind of makes sense. So they're using architecture to demonstrate, if you like, their simplicity. The fact that they're focused in on the things that matter, rather than, in their view, the things that don't.